knock it off.
Well, welcome back to Mockingbird Chronicles. It's been quite a while since the last time we've posted. A little
Some
over
shit
three.
has happened.
Well, 3 months ago was like what, the beginning of March. Last time we
Yeah.
posted, so March of 2020. So yeah, nothing at all happened in the world. No, it's been quiet
Yeah.
actually. Yeah, it's
Everything's
been
great. We got
yeah,
world peace.
yeah, yeah. It's been pretty
End of
great.
April. Great.
uh,
I just want
uh,
some toilet paper.
uh, I just want to go outside.
Yeah, for
Uh,
real.
so yeah, the last time we made Corona, to my knowledge, I think it was the coronavirus was in China. Like it just started to spread, but it hadn't reached over to us. And
Hmm.
so at the time, yeah, for us, life was still normal. We still had toilet paper at the time. Um,
Hmm.
we still everything was still open. No one was wearing masks, and you know, you would have thought nothing was going on. Since then, uh, wow, I was like, we can do a quick recap. I don't think a quick recap exists. I don't think we can do a quick recap of what's happened within 3 months of 2020.
Yes.
Yet alone,
Um,
it's June now, so yeah, yet alone freaking almost half the year. Huh. Wow.
mm.
I mean, what more could be said than 2020? It's 2020 is Dark Souls. 2020 is
Oh.
it's the hardest difficulty that that no one really wanted to play.
Hmm.
Like there's legendary on Halo. There's 2020. I don't,
Getting spawn killed every day over here.
yeah, yeah, and all the while you're like, can we stop? Can we
Yeah.
not?
I
Can we
just
not play this difficulty?
I just want to take a break. It's
So
been wild. It's been
for
so
real.
wild, man.
So I guess so. Currently, if even if you were living under a rock, you would still know what the hell's going on in the world. So currently, one of the main things that's been going on is so we got a lot of protests going on. At this point, the coronavirus is still large. Technically, it's still a pandemic. It hasn't calmed down, but yet everyone's mentality seems to have. At least a lot of
Hmm.
people have become complacent about it. And because we've gotten complacent, a lot of people have dropped their guard. They're like, well, maybe I should wear a mask. Maybe I shouldn't wear a mask. I don't want to. I don't. Maybe I should not worry about my social distancing so much as I should before. And especially with the protests going on, protests have been kind of outweighing the coronavirus in terms of severity of like
I
I
don't
don't know.
know. I guess just like news coverage,
Yeah, well, yeah, news
if
curve. Yeah,
nothing
yeah,
else.
that's yeah, at that. Yeah.
um, but yeah, I guess that kind of started it. Like a lot of people started to come out of their houses and stuff to join the protest in these big crowds, and some people would be wearing masks, but I feel like that was kind of a big change between everybody staying inside, and then it turned into everybody going out and protesting and getting together, and then I guess just kind of a lot of stuff went. I don't want to say downhill, but as far as the way people are reacting to the pandemic, it seems to have really shifted into another gear recently, and
Yeah.
not in a good way.
That's I would say that's definitely the best way of putting it. It's taking your focus off and putting it onto something else.
Yeah.
Um, and then all the while these protests have been happening, thing called Chaz or CHOP has been put in place. Chaz, both are acronyms, and they're both the same place. Just I guess it depends on where you're at, depends on who you're talking to, depends on what you want to call it. It's either the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone or the Capitol Hill Occupancy Protests. I think that's right. Um, so for me, uh, whenever I hear stuff going on in the world, like I'm not a biased person. I'm not going to read just from one source. I want to read from multiple sources to get different opinions, to get different perspectives, because I'm not just going to be like, oh yeah, well they said it, so it has to be true. Well, that's from their perspective. What if you hear it from someone else? Like, it's only fair to hear it from different stories, different sides, so you get a better judgment call. So, anyways, um, the articles that I've read was, it's it sounds like right now it sounds like a definitely like a permanent protest, if you will, because you have people that have taken over. What has happened was that protesters in Seattle have taken over a 9 to 10 acre, might be more at this point, 9 to 10 acre plot of the city because the East uh, Police Precinct in Seattle, they've abandoned their post. They've abandoned their post, they left, and then they've taken over. And all the while, the mayor of Seattle, she's just like, well, I'm not doing nothing. And then, in fact, she's even caught on to Trump. She's like, I need help. And then Trump's like, it's your problem, not mine.
The
Typical Trump response. So it's like, well, tough, tough break there. But like,
Wow.
so yeah, so she's just kind of up in arms. All the while, they're just kind of taking over. Well, this also, in another post that I read, this also isn't anything new. As for people taking over a plot of area for like protests and in regards of trying to get change in the world, because apparently back in the 60s they did the same thing in Italy. They had taken over a portion of the city, but then once the city came to a conclusion on their policy or whatever it was at the time, they're like, okay, we've made some changes, and then the occupancy zone just they've they've abandoned their posts and things kind of went back to normal. Will that happen here? Yeah, hard to say.
I don't know what then the result that they're going to get to would be. The police are gone, and instead of, I guess, going back to business as usual without the police, it's not just no police, but it's like, I guess, maybe I'm not informed about it, but this new community in the area.
Hmm.
And it just seemed like a very far jerk to one side. And I don't even know if that was the original goal or if that's just kind of where it is. They've got some space, and maybe, I guess it's maybe not that they don't know what they want to do with it, but like you were saying, they may not agree, or they're not agreeing on what they want to do with it.
Right. Well, and oh my God, is my house on fire? No, it's a zombie.
Ooh.
I seen fire. I got
Oh
nervous.
gosh.
Um, but from what I've read, there was they've had some internal conflicts, and because they're internal conflicts, they're talking to one another, and they're like, hey, now that we've gotten this far, we've established this area. What's the next step? We need to move forward with this, and we need to either, they got a community going on. They've hastily made gardens, and like they're taking care of one another, which is really cool. But yeah, like you've made it this far. Now what are you gonna do? And
Hmm.
so the people that's kind of like the leaders of the whole thing they've been discussing, well, there's also been some internal conflict and even fights that's broke out because they can't come to an agreement on how they think things are going to go. And whenever they have these arguments and stuff, it's like I don't know. I feel like it all happened so quick for them that even they were
Hmm.
kind of surprised by it because like if it was like if in the event that it would have been planned further in the future, they would have been like, hey, once we've gotten this far, the next step of the phase is going to happen, and then we're going to do that. But I think they were all
Hmm.
kind of surprised. We're like, oh shit, this actually happened. Oh wow, this
They
actually,
didn't come and stop us.
yeah. Oh wow, we,
Yeah,
we got
yeah.
this far. Oh, the military's not coming to stop us. Oh wow.
Hmm.
So I mean, yeah, to their credit, yeah, it'd be kind of cool if they can actually get something started. Like if something like that could happen. But if for their sake, that is.
Yeah. Well, so I guess like, I honestly don't know what ideas they're debating between as far as what they're going to do with the area. But I'm kind of curious, like, just Brian, if you were in their shoes, what do you think? Like,
Oh.
I guess like understanding kind of what my understanding of their goals is to, the police aren't working with us, they're not working for us. Um, and we need to make changes to that. So now we have this opportunity. We've got this space in the city. What are
Mm-hmm.
we going to put in place to kind of meet that so everybody can be happy and we don't have to worry about I don't know, being, profiled or abused and that kind of stuff.
Well, you and I talked before, like how what our opinion is about the entire thing. So the whole idea of it is, uh, both of us are on the same agreement in saying that does police brutality exist? Absolutely.
Hmm.
Is there equality in the world? No. Like everyone's getting treated differently. But the one thing that we came to a conclusion on is you have OSHA, which oversees, the Occupational Safety Health Administration, that oversees all of the safety aspects when it comes to construction. They look over hazmat. They look over a lot of things. And then you've got
Hmm.
like the FDA or USDA that looks over like the food administration to make sure that hey, this meat that is leaving this factory, this is legit meat. This isn't some like crap you're putting in it. Like we've come and make sure that it is edible, it's good, and we're stamping it. It's our approval. They oversee that. So that way, these companies and these construction companies, they're not out here all willy nilly doing their own thing. Someone's actually regulating them. And the same
Hmm.
thing needs to happen with the police. No one is policing the police. And to
Hmm.
have a separate organization like OSHA that could oversee police departments, yeah, because otherwise you've got these good old boys, you've got these guys. It's like, oh man, you choked that dude out. Nah, man, I got you back, man. It's cool. You just kind of barely touched his neck. I seen it. I got you back. Really,
Hmm.
really, and like,
It's it's just so it just kills me inside, like to see some of the videos, and of course you probably end up see you don't see the hundreds of times a day that maybe people have a good interaction with the police, but it is the bad ones that stand out, that make a bad name for everyone else.
and
And then
yeah,
it's
that's
the
true.
even the guys who have, even the officers that have good interactions with people,
Mm-hmm.
the fact that they're not holding their fellow officers accountable is part of it. I mean, I'm not saying that they need to be like, ratting themselves out or anything, but it's just everybody's got to be at a high standard. Like we can't have bits and pieces here or there, and uh, it just depends. Oh, am I going to be lucky today? Am I going to get officer nice, or am I going to get officer put a gun in my face? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I'm laughing, but I mean, it's like a hysterical laugh, just because sadly it's true. You're right,
yeah.
and yeah, like, and don't get us wrong, like, we know that there are good cops out there. They exist,
Hmm.
and in a lot of cases, we do understand where they're coming from because, like, for me, having a military background, yeah, we were trained for lose-lose situations. Like if a Muslim lady walking up to your post, she's holding her belly, and you're like, oh dang, but she's walking, she doesn't speak English, so she's just like yelling at you, da 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 da, and you're like, ma'am, get away. If you
Hmm.
keep coming closer, I'm gonna have to shoot you. But she doesn't know what you're saying. You don't know what she's
Yeah.
saying, but she's holding her stomach, so you panic and you shoot her. And you're like, well, I thought she had a bomb. I thought she was gonna walk up and kill us all. No, gonna find out she's pregnant. She was looking
Hmm.
for help. She may have gotten raped or something.
Yeah.
So, or it's the other way around. You're like, oh, it's a pregnant lady. I need to help her out. Nah, she got bombed. She just took out the whole squad. It's lose lose, and it's the same concept for like police. And I'm not saying it's always that case, but I'm just saying I get where they're coming from. I get the
Hmm.
crappy situations that they're put under, and I get that severity
Yeah.
of like, oh dang man, like crap's hit the fan. You panic. It's like act now, or if you don't act the right way in the right time, things go south real quick. And
Hmm.
like I'm just saying, I understand that the stress they're under. However, I do understand that one, you're trained better. I was trained better, to where you also still have to treat people with respect. And heck, they even told us they were like, look, yeah, you've got if you're in country and you've got the foreign nationals or the people that live there, they come up there and start talking to you like, yeah, you should probably talk to them because the last thing you need is like just because you're in a terrorist environment doesn't mean everyone there is a terrorist.
Hmm.
It's like, yeah, you go into places like, Afghanistan, Iraq. If you get in the sticks of it, yeah, you are in the sticks of it to where, yeah, you're in their neighborhood. Yeah, everyone there probably is. But there's a lot of bases out there to where the people that's in the surrounding area, not all of them are terrorists. and people have to realize that. And they're like, yeah, you need to treat them
Hmm.
with respect because the last thing you need is to have a bad presence because these people are allowing us to come into their country. And if we're out here being rude and disrespectful to all of them, then therefore like, hey, well, what are you doing here? You need to get out of here. Like,
Hmm.
you're here to help us with our situation of these radicals in the area, not come over here and disrupt what's going on.
And that's kind of the crazy thing. Like, uh, maybe not exactly what you just said, but the way that, like, it made me think that's what a lot of people feel like with our police. It's like, we want you here to perform it, and that's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to come in here and shoot us,
Yeah,
Like, yeah, take me to jail. That's so I can go to trial if I did something wrong. That's the extent. But I don't know. I'm totally with you. Like, it is a really tough situation. Like, they're the ones who are supposed to be there, who to go into the situation. If there's somebody's got a gun, somebody's holding somebody hostage, yeah, they're gonna go in there and try and take care of the situation, calm it down, save lives, and that kind of thing. And I guess just unfortunately that doesn't happen. Like what Breonna Taylor in Louisville.
oh
I
yeah,
mean, what was that all about? She ended up losing her life out of just I don't, I don't know. It's just so
it's a hot
crazy.
mess,
Like
man. It's bad. And I
how
think in recent, sorry, not cutting you off here, but I think in recent
no
news I
no
read, one of the police officers that were involved in that, he got fired. So that's the recent news on that.
yeah.
I don't know if the other acting officers that were along with it, I don't know what their situation is, but I know one of them did.
Hmm.
And and really and truly, like, so once again, I'm pretty sure no one's been living under a rock, and even if you did, you still know what's going on. So not only Breonna Taylor, but George Floyd. George Floyd was the one that really kind of like kicked it all off. He was the first
Hmm.
big death that sparked the rest of it. It sparked all the protests and got everything going on, and then that was followed by Breonna Taylor and a few, I think about a couple others, of unnecessary deaths, like horribly unnecessarily deaths
Hmm.
in regards to Black Lives Matter and like just the whole protest and everything. And it's like even in like the videos like you've seen from like I don't know if you've seen them from like George Floyd, like
Hmm.
he was not putting up a fight at all. Like the whole story, from what I've gathered, is he had matched the description of someone who had stolen something or they had committed a crime, and they're like, "Hey, you're the man that matches the profile," so they went and tried to apprehend him. Which I don't know if that
Hmm.
ever came to be, if he was the one or if he wasn't. But
They
nonetheless,
didn't even get that far. Apparently, they're like, "Hey, we're gonna arrest you."
oh okay, well yeah, I guess it just they're just like, yeah, you fit the profile, you're coming here. So
That's
put
what it
it
seemed like. Yeah.
So imagine being in those shoes. I'm over here trying to enjoy some coffee. I'm over here trying to enjoy my day, and somebody just snatches me up. You stole something. But what? No, I didn't.
Hmm.
I'm just enjoying fucking coffee. I mean,
Yeah.
isn't innocent until proven guilty, right? So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. What the fuck? There goes me and my day with coffee. So yeah, naturally, if you got snatched away after having a good day of coffee or whatever it is, yeah, you're going to be mad.
Hmm.
But later on in the video, you see them like apprehending him. He's got handcuffs on. He's not putting up a fight at all. He's
Hmm.
going around the car. They've got him. He is uh, he's being cooperative. Well, and then later on, you see them somehow there was an altercation to where they had him down on the ground, and that's where the police officer had his knee against his neck really hard to the point where obviously he was saying I can't breathe, and that was what ultimately led to his death. And what's sad is that like all those other police officers, which I need to look more into it. I don't know what their status is currently, but they all need to be held accountable for that. Like all of them need to have repercussions for that. Like not just the guy that done it, but they're all there seeing him, and they all heard
Hmm.
him say, "I can't breathe." And that's why like if you and I were police officers and like you were doing something like that, like yo, hey, let up. He says he can't breathe. Like that's I'm just as guilty because I'm sitting here watching
Hmm.
it happen. I'm allowing you to do it by not saying anything about it. So therefore, all of them need to be held accountable for that.
It's been a minute since I watched the video, But if I remember, the guy who had his knee on George's neck, like he was telling George, like, all right, get up, and while he was like holding him down.
What?
Yeah, that's what I thought I remembered seeing. Like I thought I heard the guy telling him to get up and like get in the car,
How are you gonna?
and he physically couldn't because he was being held down. And I don't know, it's just so I don't know. There's another thing that kind of drives me crazy about this too is somebody I was talking with about it. They were saying that what were they saying that the officer like he knew he was being recorded. I guess somebody was holding the phone, you know, kind of in his face, that type of thing. And they're like, "How would you really think the officer would be, you know, stupid enough or ignorant enough to, you know, kill this man while he's being recorded, while he knows he's being recorded?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, like he probably figured even if like maybe he didn't intend to kill the guy, but I'm pretty damn sure that he knew like even if he did, he wouldn't face anything for it. And that's the problem. Like he didn't give a shit. Like I
Yeah.
killed this guy or not, and I'm not gonna get anything. I don't care if you record me or not. I'm not gonna be extra careful. Oh, just because you're recording me, because I don't fear any consequences. There's no consequences. What, you're gonna record me, and
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say I was doing my job, and then this man died, and that's just gonna be the end of it. And that, you know, people didn't let that be the end of it. But
Once
it's just
again,
like,
sorry.
no. I mean, yeah, they're just like, you think the officer would be dumb enough to do that? I'm like, well, I don't think he's dumb. I just think he thought he could get away with it. And then it was like another 4 or 5 days later, like after the video had gone out and people were getting frustrated about it before he even got arrested. And it's like, yeah, he almost probably did get away with it. Even when he was recorded, like, it took him long enough. If people didn't start making a fuss about it and bringing it up, he probably wouldn't have faced a damn thing. And that's the problem.
Once again, this just goes back to, well, no one's policing the police, so he's like, oh, that's fine, I'll get away with it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I've done this before, which actually, to my knowledge, that they said that they've done that. Him and the a couple of other officers that were involved, they've had previous conflicts with them
Mm-hmm.
in with other people and doing their arrests and whatnot. They've had conflicts and they've actually been in trouble in the past for similar instances. So it's like
Mm.
they know they've done this before, and that's probably what his mentality was. Like, oh, I've done this before. You know, I've smacked a dude around
Yeah.
before a couple times, so I can do it again. So it's like, oh, whatever. Yeah, you know, it's been smacked on the wrist before. I'll do it again. But no, not in this case,
Mm-hmm.
pal. This, congratulations. You've you've been famous and not in a good way.
Yeah.
It's it's quite the mess. It's
So I'm
quite the
just
mess.
like, as I was just gonna say, like, as we're talking about this, you know, this is like the topic of the last, what, 3 weeks, three going on 4 weeks, and this is just in like May and June.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is separate from all the
Oh yeah,
pandemic
yeah.
stuff and everything, right?
Oh
It's
yeah.
like,
So yeah, this is just in yeah recent events. There's a point in
yeah.
time to where yeah there's a shortage of toilet paper. There's a point in time to where everything was shut down. Like only
Mm-hmm.
essential people were working. Essential being like truck drivers or grocery store workers. Like a lot of places shut down. Like movie theaters shut down. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
movie theater, basically big places where people, groups of people could congregate in. So movie theaters, concert halls,
Mm-hmm.
the public pools, libraries, uh, and then even a lot of
Strip
restaurants.
clubs.
Strip. Oh, rest in peace, man. Rest in peace. But like you
Um,
know, restaurants, like, but a lot of people were trying to find ways around them. So they found ways around them by staying open, saying, "Hey, if you can't come into our restaurant and sit down and eat, we'll do curbside. So if you pull
mm-hmm.
up, we'll walk out to you. We're wearing masks, we're wearing gloves. We'll take your order. You pull over and park, and then we'll come out and bring your food out to you. Or you know, there's still Grubhub and all these other delivery things that still exist. So they're like, yeah, we can still take food to you. You just can't come inside and eat. So with all that going on, CDC comes out and they're like, hey, you know, we're setting these guidelines for what you need. So they've got these social distancing things and saying, hey, keep 6 feet apart. 6 feet is our recommended distance to where if you get anything closer, you risk spreading disease or spreading an
Hmm.
illness like the coronavirus. So try and keep your distance. Which, in my opinion, I believe that needs to continue on even after Corona goes away. Because I don't know about you, but I can't tell you how many times I've gone to the grocery store to where I've got somebody right up on my ass as I'm trying to check out,
Hmm.
and they're like, "Can you back up? Why are you all up on my grill?" Like, I don't know why people insist on wanting to get so close to one another. Some of these people, they don't smell good. They might need to take a shower. They might brush
Yep.
teeth. Like, sorry, not sorry, but you're gross. And same deal. I might have just gotten off work. I might be over here sweating, gone nasty. You don't want me up next to you.
Hmm.
Like, let's continue on with social distancing. I'm 100% on board with that.
That's the thing for me is I am more aware now of how much I just touch everything's and then like I touch my face or this or that.
Oh yeah,
And it's like,
yeah,
gosh, I can't believe I was doing, so unaware or just didn't care. It's like, I mean, I guess I survived for all these years, touching all the door handles and, shopping carts and all that kind of stuff. But it's still like, man, now that I think about it, it's like, ugh, kind of, why, ugh.
yeah,
Oh. So the world is definitely different. I ended up working from home for I think like a pretty much good 2 months. Just me and my cats at the house. Pretty much the only time I left my house for I guess about 2 months was to go to the grocery store. Maybe once every other week. I'd go out for some drives and that kind of stuff. But I mean, shit, everybody was just like, stay home, don't spread
yeah,
the virus,
yeah. They really
and
encourage staying home. Really encouraged
mhm,
it. Which, to my, well, from what I could tell, it worked for quite. Well, I'd say it worked, but like, well, yeah, it definitely helped because they wanted it. They wanted people to stay home because it wasn't so much of, hey, if we all stay home, if we all stay away from one another, we're going to
mhm,
eradicate this disease. No, it's not. That's impossible. You're not going to eradicate it. But the
mhm,
intention was they know that like this disease is going to, or this illness is going to spread across and people are going to get it. They didn't want an influx of people hitting the hospital at once. They didn't, because like they couldn't handle it. They didn't have the PPE. They didn't have the
mhm,
accommodations. They're like, we have so many people getting sick all at once. So they're like, if you keep your distance, then that lessens the amount of people getting it at once. So therefore, we can slowly take them in one by one and take care of
mhm,
you, treat you, and send you on your way. So that was the whole premise of it all, to, hey, just slow it down. And in the midst of it, one of the places that stayed open, which some people had disagreement in of being open, was the liquor stores. The liquor stores stayed open. Well, yeah, for one, if you're in quarantine and lockdown, what the hell else you going to do? Like, by all means, sit there and get drunk. And then some people, mostly the religious people, were like, well, what? That's not a, you know, that's not an essential thing. Because if you're going to close down our churches to where we can't go to church, why are you going to have the liquor store?
mhm,
Well, a lot of the healthcare workers came and said back to that, saying, hey, look, we need is some drunk alcoholics showing up to, or some,
mm,
or people having withdrawals from alcohol, some alcoholics showing up to the hospital causing a ruckus.
mhm,
The last thing we need is that. We've got too much on our plate right now. So yes, by all means, take your alcohol, go home, pass out,
mhm.
stay in your bed. So yeah, from that aspect, it's exactly what it is. Man, wow, we've it's that's the
Dang,
timer
30
for,
minutes.
yeah. That's, I mean, we got
Wow.
like one more minute here, but there's a lot going on, guys. We're gonna have another podcast. We gotta
Oh
have another,
yeah.
I don't know, as frequent as everything
Oof.
going on in the world. We're gonna have to do it more often. But hopefully you guys kind of, if you agree with this, that's cool. And if you have anything to say, please feel free to comment and, speak your mind in the comments. We'll read them and then we'll address it. We want to talk to everyone and get everyone's opinion about it and see what all's going on. Uh,
I'm open to learning.
yeah, yeah, both of us are. We're not biased at all. Uh, but we look forward to doing it again, and hopefully we'll see you guys in the future. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. See you guys.
Peace.